Hi all, I am Disha Shukla and welcome to the session. In this session we are going to discuss about time division multiple access, that is TDMA. TDMA is a digital technique that divides a single channel or bandwidth into the time slots. Each time slot is used to transmit one byte or another digital segment of each signal in sequential serial data format. This technique works well with the slow voice data signal but is also useful for the compressed video and other high-speed data. A good example is the widely used T1 transmission system, which has been used for years in the telecom industry. T1 lines carry up to 24 individual voice telephone calls on a single line. Each voice signal usually covers 300 Hz to 3000 Hz and is digitized at an 8 kHz rate, which is just a bit more than the minimal Nyquist rate of 2 times the highest frequency component needed to retain all the analog content. The basic GSM cellular phones system is TDMA based. It divides up the radio spectrum into 200 kHz bandwidth and then uses the time division techniques to put 8 voice channels into one channel. The 8 time slots can be voice signals or the data such as the text or emails. The frame is transmitted at 270 kilobits per second rate using the Gaussian minimum shift keying, that is GMSK, which is a form of frequency shift keying modulation. Now, this technique works well with the slow voice data signals but is also useful for the compressed videos and other high-speed data. It facilitates many users to share the same frequency without interference. Moving on, the time division multiple access is a complex technology because it requires an accurate synchronization between the transmitter and the receiver. TDMA is used in digital mobile radio systems. The individual mobile stations cyclically assign a frequency for the exclusive use of a time interval. In most of the cases, the entire system bandwidth for an interval of time is not assigned to a station. However, the frequency of the system is divided into subbands and TDMA is used for multiple access in each subband. Now here in TDMA it is such that each user is been given different time slots wherein he can transmit the data and hence the whole bandwidth can be occupied. Now this is the basic of a TDMA, that is the frequency versus time graph wherein the whole frame of the data is shown and the transmission is done such that we have 3 users, that is the A, B and C, and all of them are transmitting at different rates and hence whenever they have their slots they can transmit the data as and when required. Now as you can see in this figure, the 2 of the users are transmitting the data and hence this way the value will be passed, that is for high the H will be going from here and then the I is going, and first the G is going for user 1 and then the O is going, that is first the user 1 gets a turn, then user 2 gets the turn, then again user 1 has his time slot when he can transmit the data. This is the whole system behind the TDMA and this is the way the transmission takes place based on their time slot. Again here the time slots are allocated such quickly that the users don't actually notice that their time slot is over and again their time slot has been started. I mean, this is the variation is in some milliseconds of time and hence it is hard to differentiate when a particular user has got his time slot. So user will feel that he can transmit the data anytime he wants. Again here the concept of context switching of operating system comes into the picture. Now as it is a time division multiplexing, now synchronization is important when you are dividing using the time, that is the sender and the receiver must be synchronized. So synchronization is required in TDMA. So clock is required in TDMA. All the transmitters and the receivers must be aware of this clock to schedule their transmission and reception, and the transmissions are synchronized. Now, in a cellular telephone system, a clock signal indicates the beginning of the time slot, and it is transmitted by the base station. From this signal, mobile stations can be determined when their turn comes up. TDMA allows a mobile station's radio component to listen and broadcast only in its assigned time slot. During the remaining time period, the mobile station may apply network measurements by detecting the surrounding transmitters in different frequencies. This feature allows the interfrequency handover. Here, the frequency band has been shared by the three users, hence each user is assigned definite time slot to send and receive the data. Now, in this example, user B sends after user A and user C sends thereafter. In this way, the peak power becomes a problem and larger by the burst communication. So the advantages of TDMA is that it permits flexible rates, that is several slots can be assigned to a user. For example, each time interval translates 32 kbps. A user is assigned 264 kbps slots per frame. It can withstand gusty or variable bitrate traffic. Number of slots allocated to a user can be changed frame by frame. For example, 2 slots in the frame 1, 3 slots in frame 2 and 1 slot in frame 3. That is, whenever you are assigning different time slots to a user, it can be varied after he has transmitted once. Say for example, the first time he is transmitting, he can transmit in 2 time slots. For the next frame, he can transmit in 3 time slots. For the next frame, he can transmit for 1 slot. This way you can vary the time slot that that has been assigned to the particular user. Here no guard bands are required for the wideband systems, and no narrowband filters are required for the wideband systems. When we are applying TDMA in the wideband systems, there is no requirement of the guard bands or the narrowband filters. And some of the disadvantages of TDMA are that high data rates of the broadband systems requires complex equalizations. Now, because it is divided based on time, the point that is synchronization is included in it, and hence some complexities may occur when you are transmitting a high data rate. Due to the burst mode, a large number of additional bits are required for synchronization and supervision. Now, as I already told, that synchronization is required, and for synchronization you need to add some parity bits or a synchronization bit that we call with each and every frame you have. So due to that, a large amount of additional bits are added to the system. Call time is needed in each slot to accommodate time to the inaccuracies, that is due to the clock instability. Due to the clock instability, it is required to set some call time in each of the slot, so that if there is some variation in the clock or the clock is unstable, your transmission does not affect due to that. Electronic operating at a high bit rate increases the energy consumptions. Now, the electronic devices that are used, and that too the ones that are using high bit rates, they will increase the energy consumption. Complex signal processing is required to synchronize within the short slots, because when your slot is larger, you will require only 1 bit for that. But if your slot is smaller, based on the number of slots, the number of synchronization bits also increases, and that will create complexity into the system, because you need to synchronize each and every slot that is available. So this is all about TDMA, time division multiple access, and summing up together, TDMA is a system wherein you divide the system based on time. That is, the time users are given different time slots, and at that time slot the user can transmit the data. Again, this allocation of the time slot is very quickly, so the user does not actually feel that he has been allocated a time slot and now he does not have that time slot. Now if you have any query about TDMA, you can contact me. Until then, keep learning.